Humanity is unaware that another world in the infinite ether of space is now preparing to conquer Earth with merciless, cold-blooded devastation.
Got the very last pinball machine ever made by Bally and Williams, the pinball machine platform that killed Bally's and Williams pinball productions, and it's the Revenge from Mars right behind me. So let's go check it out. I lucked into this pinball machine at an online Facebook auction. And it had been sitting in a warehouse for over probably 15 to 18 years. And it became a machine that was used for parts to get other machines up and going. So the owner of Fun Billiards and Arcade Superstores, who I'm friends with, decided to have an online Facebook auction. So I was the high bidder of this lovely game, and it was missing quite a bit of things. It doesn't have a translite. It does have the glass. I don't have a cover for the back. It did come with legs, which was nice. The buttons for the menu system is just dangling. That's broken off. The playfield was actually in it, but disconnected. The ramp is cracked. These ramps are just loose. There's no screws. I'm missing this flasher dome assembly. I'm missing the drop target assembly. There's a rollover switch that's missing back there. Missing the apron, which sucks, because those are really hard to find nowadays. This plastic right here is gone, and it was in very sad shape. I mean, the artwork was just horrible. It had these weird cracks from, I don't know, heat or whatever, but it just looked terrible. The computer was in pieces. There was cabling everywhere, and it had been probably 20 years for me since I've actually worked on Revenge from Mars or Pinball 2000 format. So this is my first Pinball 2000 platform machine, and I've always been fascinated with the Pinball 2000 concept. It was really cool because these two games, Star Wars and Revenge from Mars, were the last games that were made from the Williams and Bally's factory in 1999 before they shut their door to pinball. It's really cool because the designers, George Gomez and Dwight Sullivan, who does a lot of code, and both of those guys are still very relevant today. They've designed some killer machines for Stern. They actually took it upon themselves to go into a cabin up in the East Coast somewhere, and they came up with this concept on their own. And then once they felt they had a really cool prototype of this, they actually presented this to Williams and Bally, and they're like, okay, let's do it. So it was a really cool story on how this was built. And honestly, the platform is really cool because you can interchange playfields, and the software card that drives the game, you can get one cabinet, and the idea was they were going to come out with a bunch of different game tables to put inside of them, or game playfields to put inside of the cabinet. So the idea is you get new back glass art, playfield, and then a game card that drops in the mainframe back here. It's like it's a custom computer, and it was cool because then you could just have one cabinet and then all these different playfields for different games. So if you got bored after a month, you could swap it out with something else. Back in the early 2000s, late 90s, home pinball collections weren't really a thing. They were amongst several people, but the whole home pinball thing was just kind of like you knew somebody that had a game room. It wasn't as big as it is now. And also, that was kind of not pre-internet, but pre-social groups and Facebook and things like that. So you had to get on like RecGames.pinball to talk to other like-minded people that were into the hobby. So that's kind of how word got around amongst the collectors, if you will. So going back to this game, basically what I had to do is kind of take everything out, kind of assess what worked and what didn't work, go through and check the monitor, check the electronics, go through all the cabling, and then I actually had the playfield outside of the machine, because what's cool about this is that they made the playfield, you know, to pull out, but there's only 6 plugs on the back, so it's really easy to take the playfield out. So I had the playfield sitting on a little bench next to me so I could check and see if anything would catch on fire when I first turned this thing on. Got it to boot up, which was great, and then at that point I could kind of assess what parts needed to be replaced, because there were missing parts, like the apron was gone and there were some mechanisms underneath that were just gone. Someone had taken them to use on maybe a similar machine prior to my ownership. So I had to go make inventory, see what was missing, order those parts. And then one of the big things that I needed to do was the artwork on the cabinet. I've never replaced art on a cabinet before, so it was probably 2 days worth of scraping and peeling and sanding and fixing little scuffs in the wood. And so I did my first rewrap of the artwork, and I think it turned out great. I mean, I was really nervous doing it. So once the cabinet was looking really nice, I was able to turn my attention to the playfield and did a complete assembly of the playfield, pulled off all the plastics and all the rings and pulled all the bulbs, and I did a refit of all LED bulbs to put in there, with the exception of the back third of the machine, because the thing is, with this game they have controlled lighting, so when you put LEDs in there and they try and do the dimming effect for the back half to allow you to see the screen, it looks terrible with LED. So I went with traditional incandescent bulbs in the back part, but everything else is all LED, and it really makes all the inserts and colors pop. So at that point, you know, clean the whole playfield. Now the playfield, from whoever owned it before me, the original owner put Mylar over the whole thing, and that's kind of a blessing, also a curse, because the Mylar was in terrible shape, but it was preserving the pristine playfield underneath. So I was able to carefully pull back the Mylar and to reveal a gorgeous playfield underneath. And so that was really cool find to be able to do that. And so basically just did a thorough shop job, you know, fixing broken parts, adding missing parts back in as I'm going through. Also, the original plastics, there were some pieces that were missing, so I went ahead and ordered a whole new plastic set for the whole game, so it has brand new plastics on it, and that really just spruces up the look of the game and actually makes it look like it's almost brand new. Especially with that playfield that was well preserved underneath the Mylar. So with that in there, you know, just kind of restored the whole thing back up, brought it back up, and made it look just gorgeous. And I also did on the computer that drives the thing, there's a guy that actually went and finished the unfinished code and actually added some new modes. So I've got that software installed, and also I did the LCD conversion, because it has a monitor that shines down on the half mirrored playfield glass, and it almost creates like a hologram effect on the back half of the game, and that's how you interact with the missions and that sort of thing. So it's got new code, also the new LCD screen, which really is nice. Now the original monitor does work. The original monitor can easily just be dropped back in there with 4 screws and power cable. So I've kind of kept it original, backwards compatible. If I ever do sell this, the person that gets it will get all the original bits for it. So I do have a lot of extra parts. So one of the things I did, you know, I like to customize things, you know, a little bit as I'm restoring something. So I found a guy that had officially licensed inside inner art blades, and they really just, I've never seen another Revenge from Mars that had inside art. And so I found this guy and ordered it. I think it came from England, and put it in there, and man, it just really just gave the game a whole new dimension inside. You know, they always say world under glass with the Pinball Machine, so it really did give it a cool extra look that, you know, not too many people are going to have if they have a Revenge from Mars. So this weekend coming up, I'm actually going to be displaying this machine and the one behind me at the Texas Pinball Festival in Frisco, Texas. It's going to be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of this week, and I believe that's April 15th through the 17th. It starts at 5 o'clock on Friday, so you can come check this thing out. If you really like it, maybe I'll sell it to you. You can, you know, I'll have my number on there, and shoot me a text or a call, and if that's something you really like to have for your own game room, it'll definitely be there, and it's ready to go.